Hi everyone, it's Steph here from the Novelty Corner and welcome back to my channel and welcome to another bookshelf tour. This is bookshelf 16, it is the last of my A to Z shelves. For anyone who's just jumping into this bookshelf tour, I've been filming 1 or 2 shelves at a time just for ease of filming, and also because I can spend a bit more time talking about the books and show everything without this being a monster long video. I'll leave a link down in the description and on the screen to the bookshelf tour playlist so you can check out all of my previous bookshelf tours if you are so inclined. But right now I'm going to cut to a clip of the overview of the shelf before we start talking about the books in more depth. Bookshelf 16 is really the end of my general fiction shelves in terms of the fact that this is where my alphabetical ordering ends for those, and the next shelves below it are all romance books. Up here you can see another one of my Druid families. These are by Pete Cromer, who's an Australian artist. I also have a candle up there, which I should probably burn before the end of the year. But yeah, I'm going to pull these books down and have a chat about them. Let's talk about some of the books. I'm going to finish off my Shaun Tan books. I did mention in the previous video that there were a few more Shaun Tan books on this shelf. Obviously, as much as I try and keep things in alphabetical order, I'm obviously also trying to fit things onto the shelf in the most effective way possible. There is Dog by Shaun Tan. This is one of his short stories from Tales from the Inner City. It has been put together on its own because it is a gorgeous story about the relationship between humans and their dogs. We also have Tales from the Inner City, which Dog is from. This is full of stories about animals in urban settings. These are all the different animals that get their own stories, and these are beautifully illustrated. There you go, there's Dog in only the way that Shaun Tan can illustrate. Next up I have Divided Kingdom by Rupert Thomson. This was a gift from a colleague for my birthday a few years back, and since no one ever buys me books, I keep them. I keep them if they buy them for me. I have the first 2 books in Jessica Townsend's Nevermore series. So there is Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow, and Wondersmith, The Calling of Morrigan Crow. These are Australian middle grade fantasy books. They are utterly delightful, and I do have the 3rd book to read hopefully in the new year. It is in the matching covers to these and it is green. I have The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. This is a sci-fi mystery thriller type book, and the sci-fi element you find out a bit later on in the story, but it's basically a Groundhog Day story where someone is trying to discover who murdered Evelyn Hardcastle, but every day they wake up in the body of a different person who was there at the time of Evelyn Hardcastle's death. It's delightfully mind-twisty, and I really, really enjoyed it. I have Radiance by Catherynne M Valente, which is just an absolute trip of a book. It is completely bonkers, and I'm not entirely sure I still understand it, but I'm keeping it because 1, this cover is fantastic, but also it's just such a weird book. I should say it's science fiction, and it's very, very weird. There is The Girl with the Gold Bikini by Leslye Walton. This is a Love Oz YA contemporary story set on the Gold Coast. The Price Guide to the Occult by Leslye Walton. This is a young adult urban fantasy-esque story with magic, and I just remember being really entertained by the story. Plus another very striking cover. I have 2 of Andy Weir's books. I have The Martian, which is one of my favourite books of all time. It is science fiction. It is about a guy who gets stuck on Mars and has to survive before they can round a rescue mission. Bit sciencey, but delightful. And then there was Artemis, which I had such high hopes for because this one had a female protagonist and yet it just didn't quite live up to The Martian. This one is set on the moon. I have The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. Then I have the 5 books in the Murderbot Diaries series by Martha Wells. The first book is All Systems Red. Then you have Artificial Condition, Rogue Protocol, Exit Strategy, and the full-length novel is Network Effect. The Murderbot Diaries is a science fiction series set in outer space and on various different planets, featuring a character called Murderbot who is a security bot or sec unit who has hacked its own systems, is in control of itself. Its purpose is to design humans from threats. However, it mostly just wants to watch science fiction soap operas all day and not be bothered by humans. If nothing else, read All Systems Red and see what you think because it is fantastic. I have 2 books by Jen Wilde, who is an Australian young adult author. There is Queens of Geek, which is a really, really fun contemporary story set at an entertainment conference. It also features a female-female relationship. And then there is The Brightsiders, also by Jen Wilde, which follows a band. I also have 3 books by Lili Wilkinson, another Australian young adult author. You'll notice that most of the young adult books on my shelves are Australian young adult authors. I adore the quality of Australian young adult writers. I just think it's absolutely fantastic. There is The Boundless Sublime, which is the story of a cult, and we all know how I love my cult stories. There is After the Lights Go Out. This is the story of Prue and her 2 sisters who live with their father, who is a doomsday prepper. And then one day when their dad is out at work, all of the lights go out and suddenly they have to enact some of their father's doomsday plans. It's a really great story about community and whether or not you help people and what are the consequences of that and what are the consequences of not helping. So I really enjoyed this story. And then there is the Erasure Initiative, which is Lili's most recent book. I think this one came out this year. And it's about a girl who wakes up on a self-driving bus and she has no memory of who she is or where she is. And she's on there with a bunch of people she's never met before, and they're being asked to complete a series of questions and challenges. But in order for them to progress, everyone in the group has to make the same decision. You need a majority rules. The whole thing was just really mind-twisty and thought-provoking. I have 3 books by Justin Woolley, another Australian young adult author. There is A Town Called Dust, A City Called Smoke, and A World of Ash. And these are dystopian stories set in Australia. They were just a really fun adventure. I know they're not for everyone, but I really enjoyed the way that they played out, and I did get all the way through to the end, so I was really proud of myself. And finally, I have The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. This is my copy from way back when. If you don't know what this book is, it is a World War II historical story. It is told from the perspective of Death, who follows around a little girl called Leslye, who steals a book and it changes her life. It is a great story. I highly recommend reading it if you haven't already. So that is it for my A to Z shelf. Today's shout out is Jen from The Book Refuge. She is a wonderful romance booktuber. She puts out a lot of content, a lot of recommendation videos. So if you're looking for particular places to start with different romance subsets, you definitely can check out her channel for lots of recommendations. She's also one of the co-hosts for the Romance Takeover Readathon, but I mostly love following her channel for her recommendation videos and also for her reading vlogs. So I will leave her link down below so that you can check her out. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you are staying safe and healthy, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.